Two-time NBA champion Kawhi Leonard, possibly one of the most gifted basketball players the world has ever seen. Multi-billionaire and former tech titan Steve Ballmer, the hyper-ambitious owner who remade a franchise in his own image. Two men brought together in the pursuit of a championship. But before either man could get there, one very specific transaction now threatens to define both of their legacies instead. In September 2025, it came out that Kawhi Leonard had been paid $28 million by a company called Aspiration for a deal that, according to a former Aspiration employee, required no visible work at all. That company doesn't exist anymore. It's in bankruptcy court, and its co-founder is in federal prison. Here's the whole case, in one breath. Real money moved from a company that was later proven to be a fraud to one of the best players in the league, with no clear public explanation of what he actually did to earn it. And for almost a year now, the NBA itself has been trying to find out why. Everything after this is the how. Start with what's actually confirmed. Between 2022 and 2025, a company called Aspiration Inc. paid Kawhi Leonard $28 million, routed through an entity called KL2 Aspire LLC. The deal was structured as an endorsement, Leonard promoting Aspiration's environmental banking products. The story broke in September 2025, reported by investigative journalist Pablo Torre, based on information from a former Aspiration finance employee. The deal required no real marketing work, no real appearances, nothing the employee could point to as an actual job. CBS Sports, ESPN, and Yahoo Sports all independently confirmed the outline of the story. $28 million for 4 years for a company that, as we're about to show you, turned out to be built on fraud from the start. Nobody disputes that the money moved. What's disputed is why. Now meet the man who signs Leonard's real paycheck. Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers in 2014 for $2 billion, at the time the largest sale price in NBA history. He built the team a brand new arena, the Intuit Dome, and it connects to this story two separate ways. First, Ballmer personally invested somewhere between $50 and $60 million of his own money into Aspiration, the same company paying Leonard. Second, the Clippers organization signed Aspiration to a $300 million 23-year sponsorship deal, putting Aspiration's name on the Intuit Dome itself. Two different relationships, two different pots of money, one owner and one collapsed company sitting in the middle of both of them. By September 2025, Ballmer had gone on ESPN himself to say this in his own words.
I made an investment in these guys thinking it was on the up and up, and they conned me.
The Clippers' official position hasn't moved since. They say they had no knowledge of and no oversight over Leonard's separate deal with Aspiration. Here's the actual mechanism this entire story turns on. The NBA's current labor agreement created two extra spending lines above the normal luxury tax line. The league calls them aprons. Cross the first apron and a team loses real flexibility. It can't use the biggest salary exception to sign outside free agents, and it can't take back more salary than it sends out in a trade. Cross the second, higher apron, and the penalties get worse. A team can't combine multiple players' salaries together in a trade, and if it stays over that line multiple years running, it can lose control of its own future first-round draft pick. So, any way to pay a star player that does not officially count against the salary cap is worth real money to a team trying to stay under those lines. That's not an accusation. That's just the math the league itself built. We checked the Clippers' actual numbers ourselves this month before finishing this video. Right now, the team is carrying about $162 million in salary, $38 million below the luxury tax line, $46 million below the first apron, and $59 million below the second. Today, on paper, the Clippers have real room. Whether that was true for the specific years this alleged deal was signed is a separate question. It's the one the NBA's own investigators are actually being paid to answer. The NBA opened a formal investigation in September 2025, the same month the story broke. It hired an outside law firm, Wachtell Lipton, instead of running it through the league's own front office, the standard move when a league wants the result to look independent of everyone involved. Commissioner Adam Silver addressed it directly on July 14, 2026. His words, "The investigation, quote, needs to be wrapped up before the beginning of next season." 2 weeks after that, ESPN reported the opposite possibility, that the whole thing could stretch into 2027 if it ends in formal arbitration instead of a clean finding. As of the day we're publishing this video, no findings, no ruling, no confirmed timeline from anyone. So we went and found what Leonard himself has actually said about it. At his first press conference, a reporter asked him directly what he'd actually done to earn the money.
Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analysts or journalism that's going on.
He's never said Aspiration's story was wrong. He said the story about him, that he did no work for the money, isn't accurate. Those are two different claims, and this video isn't going to blur them into one. Now, the part of this story that's already fully proven. No allegation, no investigation pending. A federal conviction. Aspiration's co-founder, Joseph Sandberg, pleaded guilty in October 2025 to wire fraud. In June 2026, a federal judge sentenced him to 14 years in prison, plus 3 years of supervised release for running a scheme that defrauded lenders and investors of at least $248 million. Fake clients, sham payments, falsified loan paperwork from 2020 to 2025. Here's the Justice Department's own language from its actual press release. Assistant Attorney General Tyson Duva said Sandberg, quote, orchestrated a multi-year scheme involving fake clients, sham payments, and deceptive loan collateral. The lead federal prosecutor on the case, Bill Asaili, called Sandberg, quote, a serial fraudster. A second Aspiration co-founder, Ibrahim al-Husseini, was named in the same scheme, accused of falsifying his own bank and brokerage statements to inflate his personal assets by tens of millions of dollars. Aspiration itself filed for bankruptcy in March 2025, then converted to a full liquidation that August. The case is real, it's public record, and it's still open in federal court in Delaware right now. Here's the distinction we need you to sit with. All of that proves Aspiration was provably a fraud. It does not, by itself, prove anything about what Kawhi Leonard's specific $28 million deal actually was. Just days before we finished this video, the story got bigger. Between August 6th and 11th, 2026, journalist Pablo Torre, the same reporter who broke the original story, reported a second separate arrangement, an undisclosed sponsorship deal between Leonard and Daktronics, the company that built the Intuit Dome's roughly $100 million scoreboard. One anonymous source told Torre this was, quote, 1,000% a way to circumvent the salary cap. That's a real quote, and it's also one anonymous person's characterization, not a finding by anyone with the authority to make one. It's the same NBA investigation, just with a wider scope now, not a second separate probe. And there's a real basketball consequence sitting on top of all of it. Around June 30th, 2026, the Clippers and the Toronto Raptors agreed to a trade that would send Leonard back to the team he won a championship with in 2019. That trade is currently frozen, on hold until the investigation resolves. By this point, it wasn't just NBA reporters covering this. It was sports television, live, saying it out loud.
While the NBA investigates his sponsorship deal with a green banking company as a possible attempt to skirt the salary cap.
That's a national sports network, on air, stating the allegation as the reason an actual trade is stuck, not an opinion segment. The news itself. So let's actually separate what we know from what we don't. Plainly, no spin either direction. Confirmed, on the record. The $28 million payment happened. Ballmer's personal investment and the Intuit Dome sponsorship happened. Aspiration was, provably, running a fraud. Its own co-founder is in federal prison for it. The NBA investigation is real. It's been open for almost a year, and it has now expanded to a second deal. The trade to Toronto is real, and it's frozen. Not confirmed, genuinely open. Whether Leonard's deal legally counts as salary cap circumvention, no NBA finding exists, no court has ruled on it. Whether the Daktronics allegation holds up to anything beyond one anonymous source's characterization. Any real timeline for when this ends, and whether arbitration ever actually gets triggered. As of this taping, no grievance has been filed by anyone. Neither Kawhi Leonard nor Steve Ballmer has been found to have done anything wrong. Leonard's own defense is that this was a legitimate endorsement deal from a company that turned out to be a fraud, a different claim than he took a bribe, and the difference matters. We've laid out everything that's actually provable. Here's the only fair way to end it. If you wanted us to take an educated guess where this goes, what we can say is that a real, proven fraud paid one of the best players in the world $28 million for work nobody outside that company has ever been able to point to. And whether that was a legitimate deal with terrible timing or an actual way around the salary cap still isn't something even the NBA itself has answered. Keep in mind, this part of the video is speculative at best. It would be weak journalism on our part not to call this out, but we expect more as it develops. We'll keep an eye on this one. If you value data-driven, impartial reporting, we follow the money, not the politics. Subscribe to National Ledger Report. More as it develops.